In the depths of an ancient mountain range, hidden from human eyes, there lived three powerful sisters, born from a union of darkness in the Earth's oldest, wildest forces. Their names were Sira, Kaida, and Nahla. These sisters were neither fully human nor fully beast. They each had powers linked to serpents, and they were said to rival even the great Medusa in strength and beauty. With snake-like hair and eyes that could pierce the soul, the sisters lived in a cave surrounded by stone statues of those who had dared trespass into their domain. Sira, the eldest, had hair of black vipers that could see for miles and move with terrifying speed. She was known for her cleverness and strategy, and her enemies often found themselves ensnared in her traps before they even realized she was near. Kaida, the middle sister, had scales of gleaming emerald green and venom that could rot flesh instantly. She was fiery and impatient, her power lying in brute force. When Kaida was angry, the earth itself trembled in response, as if fearing her wrath. Nahla, the youngest, was the most beautiful of them all, her hair made of sleek silver serpents, her voice as mesmerizing as a song. Her power was deception. With a mere whisper, she could compel anyone to do her bidding, and once entranced, they would do anything for her, even if it meant their own destruction. The three sisters had lived peacefully for centuries, until one day a group of soldiers arrived at the foot of their mountain. They wore the insignia of a distant king, a king who had heard whispers of the sisters' power and had become obsessed with the idea of possessing their abilities for himself. The king's greed knew no bounds, and he ordered his soldiers to capture the sisters, dead or alive. The soldiers, thinking they would be capturing mere witches, ventured up the mountain with arrogance and malice. But as they climbed higher, they began to sense something was wrong. The air grew thick with a strange energy, and soon they could hear whispers, strange hisses and laughter in the shadows. Their bravado faded, and fear settled in its place. When the sisters saw the soldiers approaching, Sira, Kaida, and Nahla decided it was time to reveal their powers to the world. They knew their home had been invaded, and that they would have to defend their sanctuary. As the soldiers reached the entrance to the cave, Sira, with her black viper hair, emerged. Her eyes flashed, and the vipers hissed, sensing her intent. "Foolish men," she said with a sly smile. "Did you think you could simply walk in here and take what you please?" The captain of the soldiers sneered, lifting his sword. "We are here by the command of our king. Surrender now, and your lives may be spared." In response, Sira lifted her hand, and the ground beneath the soldiers shifted as if it were alive. Shadows twisted around them, and before they could react, her vipers darted out, wrapping around their weapons and snapping them to pieces. The soldiers froze in horror, and in that instant Kaida stepped forward, her green scales gleaming in the dim light. With a fierce shout, she unleashed her venomous breath, sending waves of poison that ate through metal and stone alike. The soldiers fell back, but it was too late. Those touched by the venom were already writhing in pain as it melted through their armor and burned their flesh. Those who tried to escape were cut off by the rocky walls shifting under Sira's command. Then came Nahla, the youngest. She moved forward, her silver snakes weaving hypnotically around her face, and began to sing. Her voice was soft at first, barely audible, but it grew louder, filling the cave with a melody so enchanting it brought the soldiers to their knees. They could not resist. Her voice wrapped around their minds, dulling their senses and bending their will to her own. "Look into my eyes," she whispered to one of the soldiers, who had managed to stagger close to her. He obeyed without question, unable to resist her command. The moment he met her gaze, he turned to stone, his last expression one of awe and terror. One by one, the remaining soldiers succumbed to her gaze, transforming into stone statues, frozen forever in their final moments of fear. In minutes, the entire group had been turned to stone, their bodies joining the other unfortunate souls who had dared to intrude upon the sisters' home. When the last soldier had been petrified, the sisters looked at each other, their eyes filled with a mix of triumph and sorrow. Though they were proud of their power, they knew that this victory would not end the king's ambitions. He would send more men, maybe even come himself, driven by greed and arrogance. In the days that followed, Sira, Kaida, and Nahla prepared themselves, fortifying their cave with spells and setting traps for any who might attempt to scale the mountain. The king's greed would not stop, but neither would their resolve. And so the legend of the three serpent sisters spread far and wide. People spoke of their beauty, their deadly powers, and the way they turned trespassers into stone. Many feared them, some revered them, and a few still dared to seek them out, drawn by tales of their gifts. But none returned, for the sisters were as ruthless as they were powerful, protecting their home and each other, bound by blood and magic, in a world that could not understand them. And there, in the shadowed depths of their mountain sanctuary, the three serpent sisters remained, watching, waiting, and ruling over their own kingdom of stone.